Cybersecurity, what's the quickest way to get a technology vendor to knock on your door? Tell them you got a security problem. So, security is everyone's favorite topic today because it is a big deal. Not only in the agencies that you guys run, but enterprise commercial companies at large, and even federal agencies, which I tend to see a lot of back home. So we want to talk about this from a little bit of a perspective today. Change it up. You guys have heard about network security all week. You guys have heard about what to do from a user perspective. We want to talk about this from a little bit of a and that's really based on the fact that you've got different ways to look at security in terms of what's happening day to day, what's happening sort of periodically, and really you have to guard against all these threats, and that's tough to do, especially considering the advice that you guys have. But I want to focus specifically on sort of the disruptive technology segment, which is what we're going to be talking about today. What is disruptive technology to you guys? Anybody have disruptive technology in their pocket? Risk? So, mobility is definitely a big part of it. And that's a key element of a trend that we saw a number of years ago. We did a cyber threat survey analysis last year with a couple of our other industry partners. One of the key things that we found out was there's still a lot of people that get hacked, and the ones that do sometimes don't even know it. And they tend to be hacked repeatedly, and there is usually data loss involved. The biggest thing to us that we thought was relevant was the fact that mobile devices, these lovely devices that you carry on your pocket, this laptop up here that I've got on project, those tend to be the weakest link in regards to how you secure provide defense in your network. That's because a lot of these devices you don't control. You don't own them. May access your network, somebody may be doing it for the right reasons, right? A lot of times, you don't own those devices and you can't control what they do. There's also a huge concern about just awareness in general. Everybody that's here can sell you the greatest technology solution in the world, but unless you have users that are aware of what security is, why it's important, and what they should do differently, and how they should act, it's all irrelevant, right? So it's user awareness and training, creating best practice around what should users be watching out for when they look at you, when they use a mobile device, when they take a laptop off-site. What's that policy? Not just policy, but just general awareness. Sometimes we see a lot of agencies that write great policies, but people sometimes just sign them blankly, right, without even paying attention to what they actually are. And making users really aware of what that means to them, how they should behave when they actually handle that sensitive data that you guys own and have to manage. There's a lot of alternative endpoints that are being sort of touted in the marketplace. I'm not going to talk about those today. I think that you guys have seen some of that from some of the other folks that are here at the conference. But we did our own survey specifically with some government agencies, both federal and state, and we found that not only are the mobile and laptop devices the weakest link, but there's actually sensitive data. So if these mobile devices are lost and compromised, that's real information that could be potentially exposed from your agency's networks, from these agencies' networks. And I'm not even talking about PI necessarily. Some instances we even had classified information over on these devices. Hopefully those people are already present, but that's a different story. Nobody's talking about this. So, PI data, something you guys have to deal with, PHI data, you've got HIPAA compliance, you've got all sorts of sensitive information that hackers and attackers are after because a lot of it's at the local level. It's your citizens' information that you are trusted to secure. And by allowing mobile access to that data, we sort of have to secure that data as well as it leaves our doors and leaves our network. So how do we do that? Well, some things that aren't helping is the broad sense of consumerization. So consumerization is a trend that started probably the day the iPhone was released, right? This broad trend that, hey, everything that consumers are doing with technology, the Facebooks of the world, the iPhone, iPads of the world, those have an impact of what users expect from a technology solution, right? They want to be able to use that cool new gadget. They like the Chromebook, they like MacBooks. And this isn't something that traditional technology vendors or traditional IT is used to dealing with. This has a lot to do with a lot of the millennials that are also coming into the workplace now, which we're trying to recruit and sort of retain. How do you enable those devices and those technologies to recruit those people and keep them in the workforce as we go through evolution of our own? There's this expectation that government service, IT internally, will be as easy as some of these consumer technologies are. Think about how easy it is to sign up for email when you go to Google, or email if you sign up for Hotmail, or what may be. Why is it so difficult to have that same sort of experience internally at work? Those questions that a lot of agency employees when we survey ask, and that's where consumerization sort of driving that sort of expectation from technology, not only of us, but also from the citizen side. So that's going on today. What do we see sort of tomorrow? So I want to talk a little bit about, before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about how the classic network, as we know it, is sort of disappearing. So traditionally, you take all of your data, take all your applications, you put them in your data center, and you lock it over. Right? Put up a huge network firewall, prevent anybody from getting in. You got endpoints, PCs that are sitting on campus. You plug them in and you're good, right? Everything's secure, you can see it, I can touch it. If there's a problem, I can go have somebody run over and take a look and recover the data. That's not a reality anymore. The advent of cloud, the advent of managed services, the way we look at how we're going to actually store and process information, we can't control necessarily and centralize everything in one place. We may want to, right, data center consolidation sort of push us in that direction, but now we're being pushed to look at alternatives like cloud, like managed services, which again puts our data in different places. Not insecure places necessarily, but places that may be out of our direct control. We talked about the device problem, right? Not only are consumers expecting these type of services, they want to bring their devices in. I don't like that, that clunky Dell you're giving me. I like this MacBook, and I want to use it for work, right? And that's something that we see as a company too, right? Internally with our own folks. We have developers, we have engineers, we have all these folks that, hey, I'll bring my own laptop to work. Why do I don't need something. Just let me use this. Actually, the first day the iPad was released, we didn't support iPads. Nobody supported iPads, right? No IT shop did. But we did a network scan internally, and there was about 100 iPads that were attempting to connect to the network. So whether you know it or like it or not, there are people that are probably trying to use some of these devices in your network. And it's really up to us to define the right way to do it, or otherwise you're going to find that back door, which is a little scary. We also see applications. So we've got data sort of moving everywhere. You got all sorts of different networks, right? You got the wired networks, you got these things running around, right? Everyone's got one of these nowadays. If not, they have data access on their phones. Right? So data and the network isn't necessarily related, right? You're going to be able to have to access data from any network. People are trying to do that. Also, applications are not the applications which you install on this Windows endpoint and give to your users anymore, right? You've got applications coming from the cloud, you've got applications coming from third-party vendors. A lot of you are probably looking at Office 365. Office 365 is great. It's cloud service, gives you access to the applications from anywhere. It's great. You get access to it from any browser in the world. Do you want access to it from any browser in the world? That's something we don't think about sometimes, right? You're working on a Word document in that browser on a personal computer. How are you controlling what's going in and out of that browser? How are you controlling the data that you may get as an attachment in that email that's coming out of the browser? So there's some data security challenges with cloud applications as well, which the industry hasn't really solved yet. That's something to consider. We've also got these different platforms which have their own challenges. Anybody that's done any MDM project knows iOS and Android is not an easy beast to sort of deal with. Every time Apple makes an update, something breaks, right? Applications break, you got to scramble, all your vendors and your solution providers got to scramble. It's not easy. So not only are you doing everything you did classically with the Windows endpoints, I get there with other platforms which are frankly not easy to manage, let alone security. And that's just what's going on today. If we take a look at, and from a data perspective, data is everywhere, right? You got everyone's seen one of these, right? This is like the classic way to transport data. So you got USB sticks, you got OneDrive, you got Dropbox. I mean, how much of your data is sitting in a Dropbox, somebody's personal Dropbox account? I don't know. You know? That's the scary stuff that our CISO stays up and worries about, right? How do I know someone's not automatically just pushing stuff in my cloud, keeping it in a place where they think it's safe, but potentially get compromised? We all know that Box has been hacked. We all know that LinkedIn was recently hacked. You guys saw it. So these services, although very consumer friendly, aren't necessarily the most safe for government data, which is what we're concerned about the most. When we talk about sort of what's coming in the future, we see three key trends sort of emerging. And obviously we think this will probably happen a lot faster on the federal side, on the state side, than it may happen on the local side. But a lot of the key points are very relevant for you all today. So UIO, you guys all know Shadow IT? Shadow IT. So Shadow IT is the concept that you guys are IT in the light. You have services that you're producing, you're releasing, you're maintaining services. Shadow IT is a concept that as a consumer, as an end user, I'm going around what you're providing to get my job done. For instance, I need to send somebody a file, a big attachment. Hey, your Outlook only supports 15 meg attachments. Okay, I need to send this guy a 30 meg file. All right, I need to send it to my Gmail account, and that's my Gmail account and my email account. That's Shadow IT, right? I went around your service to do my job. So that is a challenge that we don't always keep track of. We always don't know because it's happening just by the virtue of having the internet at our fingertips. We actually think Shadow IT will come out, well, BYO as part of this will come out of the shadows to a certain respect. Something that as an enterprise company, we've adopted, sort of embraced, rather than try to sort of keep our hands against. We even see federal agencies beginning to understand that this is something they can't fight. There's even some studies that are being done that show that, hey, this is not only results in user sort of adoption, user experience increases, but also cost savings, right? We spend a lot of money on this, right? We spend a lot of money on potentially buying and owning these, right? And these things aren't necessarily cheap. And when they break, who replaces them? You do. So, a funny sidebar, we went to a BYO program internally at Citrix about 8 years ago. The amount of reported stolen and broken laptops went down by like 80%. It's ridiculous. Because if this is my machine, and I bought it, maybe I got a stipend to buy it, but it's my machine, I'm going to treat it a lot, I'm going to treat it and make sure it's a lot safer than if it's a company laptop, which, if it breaks, just have, so-and-so fix it down the street, or, hey, I mean, you can get a brand new one, right? So the concept of BYO, internally, at Citrix, we've seen a huge improvement on the user experience, but also it's brought down support costs, and it's provided cost savings from a device perspective. If you guys want details on that, I can share that afterwards. But we think that BYO is very viable for the government. We think that technology solutions are here today to enable sort of that future where you can compartmentalize data, keep it secure. So you don't have a forward request that's going to impact a personal endpoint. You don't have data leakage where you have to wipe somebody's photos off their iPhone, right? That's the kind of stuff that people asked a couple years ago. But there's solutions out there that sort of solve that today. So we see that accelerating over the next couple of years. And it's going to be up to government agencies to sort of create policies to sort of adapt to that and embrace it. The other thing is cloud. This is a hot topic on the Fed circuit, right, in DC, but cloud is really making a difference in government agencies across the country. Every state I go to, there is a success story about how people have moved to cloud, they've saved money, saved time, improved efficiency. So cloud is going to be a no-brainer. This isn't something we can fight. The question is, what is going to end up in the cloud? From our perspective, the core IT services which we spend day and night maintaining, deploying, upgrading, like identity management, Active Directory, your email, document storage, file storage. This stuff is, for cloud, that's the easy, the easy items that can be sort of embraced and adopted very quickly. We see that happening in the next few years across the board. I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg in the way we can adopt cloud. Because there's some people that obviously still concerned with data security challenges, and we'll talk about those. But I see a future where the cloud, the data centers that sort of represent a public cloud, will be more secure than government data centers. Because they're investing, the big players are investing a ton of money in compliance, a ton of money in securing those physically and technologically. Money that government agencies sometimes don't have, right? They don't have the resources to do that. So there will come a time where, hey, am I going to deploy this in-house? I'm going to have to secure it all the way from the data center to the VMs. Or should I just put it in the cloud knowing that, hey, now the onus is on that cloud provider. And maybe service isn't 100%. Is it 100% uptime in my data center? Maybe not. But that liability is now on the cloud provider. And knowing that other agencies are also there, give you a little bit of cost. But we think that the shift will occur where now all of the local, state, and federal agencies are now shifted to not just maintaining the service you guys are making today, but actually making that experience better. So think about everything you could do. You didn't have to maintain an Exchange server, right? You could really focus on end user experience, driving real consumer services, and consumer making the citizen services more consumer-like, right, and getting them to be adopted and taking them to the next level. That's what we think, that shift we think is going to happen in the next few years, where IT is no longer going to just be the utility provider of these core services. They're going to shift to actually providing that next-gen level of service for their mission, right? DoD has a mission, you guys have a mission, everyone's got a mission to support a user, and you guys is the general citizenry, and that's something that we think will accelerate not only the way people look at government, but also how you guys all work with your stuff today. So that's good. The other thing that we see a lot of interest in today, and GSA has been sort of very vocal about this in the news, is something called the next-gen workplace. You guys have heard of the next-gen workplace for the basic idea? So classically, when you go to any office, you've got cube farms, you've got people sitting at desks, everyone's got a assigned location. These spaces, although great for the time, they weren't really built for collaboration. They weren't really built for the worker of today, who may not always be in the office every day, right? This shift to more telework-friendly policies where you have people maybe at the office 2 or 3 days a week. They could be at home. Maybe they're working at a different agency at the same time, right? So building a workplace and sort of focusing it based on the actual work style you're trying to produce for your head workers to make it more productive is really what next-gen workplace is about. It's not only about the way your furniture is laid out in your office, but also the technology tools that you're using and allowing your employees to use to make them as productive as they can, where they feel productive. I have an office. I don't have a physical door to my office, but we have a shared space in our office. I go in there 3 days a week. 2 days I'm maybe at a partner site or an agency site, and I'm always teleworking. Right? Today I'm here, you guys, I've got my computer, I've got access to my email, I can do all my work from here if I want to all day long. So the concept that work is not something that you go to in the morning, but work is something that you do is sort of the mind shift that we see coming. And really, that's something that resonates very well with millennials, as you guys probably notice as you go to recruit them. It's something that resonates with people that are trying to instill more of a work-life balance in their agencies, right? Especially when you got different types of workers. And it's something that we should adopt as an IT agency because we believe that that actually leads to more productive workers, people that want to stay longer with their job and are more passionate about what they do. The other thing that we see as a key factor of this is just collaboration, right? When we go to work, we sit at our queue, we may see other people, right? But the physical space is not set up to bring people together to collaborate. And building those spaces actually collaborate better and to work together in virtual teams is something that there are plenty of tools out there to do, and that technology is being used today to actually get work done virtually, no matter what the team is all sitting here, across the state, or even across the country. And it's leading managers to think differently about how they manage people. Right? I'm a manager, I have a team. There's other managers in government. I mean, everyone's got their own style, but less about, hey, what time did you clock in this morning? And more about, I gave you X, Y, Z goals. This is your project. Where are you with that? What's your progress, right? Flipping it upside down and looking at what they're doing based on the results that you're looking for versus the just clock in, clock out mentality in an 9 out of 5, right? And that shift is sort of, we've tapped into at Citrix, we've tapped into additional productivity. I personally see some people are better at their job at 9 at night, maybe after their kids go to sleep. I see some people that are some people actually wake up really early. They're really productive at 6 a.m., right? We want to capture that time where the people are the most productive. And everyone's a little bit different. And allowing us to build a next-gen workplace with some of these flex work policies allows us to tap into that additional capacity, which you may not get, right? Somebody that's coming in 9 to 5 will stop in traffic for an hour, right? And has got all the other challenges of the morning. So that's something we think will also change the way we work, we manage people, and how we think about technology. So 2020, the sort of the trends that we see there, security challenges, you've got mobility, cloud, there's a lot of things going on. How do you deal with that? And there's probably 10 other things which I haven't talked about, which you've heard from everybody else the last 2 days, right? How do you guys deal with that? So our approach, and what I want to focus on today, is focusing on what matters. What really matters at the end of the day is not necessarily the device that you're using. It may not necessarily mean what network you're coming in on, but it's really about the applications and the data that sits behind these applications. That's what's most critical for your agency, and that's what is the crown jewels of that you're sort of charged to protect, right? So it's not focused on the device, it's not focused on the network as much, but let's focus on the applications and the data. Because that's something that no matter where I'm working, which device I'm using, where I am, that's something that I always need access to, but it's also the most sensitive part of my organization that I don't want to necessarily get out, right? So how do we think about that in terms of the way we think about applications and data, and how do we sort of manage the security around that? Let's talk about a couple things related to data security that you guys should keep in mind as you sort of look at some of the challenges that you're facing today and some of these which may come right in the next few years. Some of these are going to be concepts you guys are familiar with already, and some of these may not be. But the way we think about data and data security is really through a persona-based system. Right? When you look at your agency and everybody works within your agency, there's different types of workers, right? They access different sets of data. Some of that data may be, CGIS related, some of it may be PII related, but it's all dependent on the persona and what their actual workflow is. So defining the personas in your agency and the type of data, the sensitive data that they should have access to is an important first step to understanding what the scenarios are that you could potentially come across when you think about data security, not only data security, but if God forbid, a breach of some sort. And the key part of this is understanding sort of where are the workers. Are they all in the office? If they are, great. Right? Does that mean you don't have a security problem? Well, yes, Edward Snowden and none, right? There's always going to be a security risk, regardless of what you think your physical setup is going to be, right? Whether it's coming from outside or even inside. So that's something to keep in mind. So data security is always something that's going to be, you got to be vigilant about. There may be other agencies that your workers work from, right? What devices do they use? Where do they come? Which networks are they using? Are they using that network at the agency office? Or are they using that free Wi-Fi that was, hanging off the hotel, right? That's the kind of stuff that's a little scary and you should be worried about. What about your citizens? How do you deliver data to them? How do you deliver sensitive data to them, right? When they access their driver's license information, social security information, how do you deliver that safely so you don't expose that data to a potential hacker? Right? Those are all scenarios that you would build out to actually start defining where you have data security challenges and potentially gaps. We like to think of it as contextual access, the concept of actually allowing and sort of driving into specifically who's accessing this sensitive piece of data, what are they accessing, right? Is it PII, is it CGIS data, is it a PHI record, is it a document, is it a database? When are they accessing it? Hey, nobody should be asking us at 2 a.m. in the morning. That's the problem, right? Where they're asking it from, right? We ran into some agencies that sometimes get random access from China, right, in the middle of the night. That's a red flag. So how do you actually protect against that and make sure your data isn't available at that time? And why are they accessing it, right? I mean, just answering the first 4 questions doesn't always necessarily indicate that this person should have access for their job. That's something to keep in mind as well. If everybody has access to everything, that's an inside threat waiting to happen, right, potentially. Or an outside employee that's going to leave and do something very inappropriate. Those are all things that we keep in mind. At Citrix, we follow these same practices as well because our real property, our sensitive data is our intellectual property, right? For government agencies, it's PII data, maybe it's a CGIS data, whatever it may be. But for us, it's code, right? I mean, we're a software company. We do a lot of engineering work, and we have a lot of time, effort, and value invested in keeping our intellectual property out of the hands of not only competitors, but also potential hackers, potential people that may be selling it, reusing it, right? So we have that same data security challenge in a different light. Everybody looks at this from a different perspective. But we look at this the same way in regards to, okay, I have remote workers. We may have an involvement shop in Taiwan, and we need to give them access. Okay, maybe they should only have access for this at this time. When they leave, what can they walk out the door with them? These guys are all contractors, so do you want to give them laptops or allow BYO access? How do you make that happen cost effectively? Those are all the questions that we ask internally when we sort of draw out this map for our usage scenarios. We have a huge partner community in terms of channel resellers. How do you give them access to the information they need about our products without opening the keys to the kingdom as well, right? So different levels of access depending on the persona is also important. So that's how we sort of see this, and you guys just think about it. We'll come up with your own sort of map. And the important thing is this shouldn't be a static sort of context, meaning that I have this right over this piece of data, and that sticks with me throughout sort of my tenure at this agency or company. What we really think makes this most important is this should be applied at the time of need, meaning that at the time of access, all these questions should be asked to determine, should access be granted? Meaning that if I have access to this document normally, but now it's 3 a.m. and I'm coming from an IP address in Asia, should that person have access to this? No, probably not, right? So blocking that at the time of need and assessing these questions at the time of access is an important part of this as well. So make it truly contextual based on what's happening. We internally talk about 3 key principles when looking at data management, security, and governance. It's concept of virtualization, containerization, and security networking. So virtualization, everybody knows virtualization? Nobody knows the virtualization? Nobody knows the virtualization? All right, you do. So virtualization is, as you guys are well aware, the concept of virtualizing servers, machines, and the data center. What we're talking about is actually virtualizing the access to that data or application as part of the infrastructure. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. But the concept being that I've got a virtualized infrastructure in-house, let's virtualize access to all the applications, which would normally sit here on this laptop, and bring them back into the data center. So now the only thing that's going across the line is ones and zeros, screenshots, keyboard strokes. Right? Virtualization allows you to make sure that data never leaves the data center. Is that going to work in every scenario? No, right? But it may work for your most critical data, right? Stuff that you don't want to get too out of control. The second thing to remember is containerization also offers another way to mobilize that data while still maintaining some governance over it. Meaning that if I downloaded an attachment that I got my email on this phone, you lost control over it now, right? I could very easily share it to a OneDrive, I could send it to everybody in my Gmail list, right? That data, that attachment that I got, is now no longer governed by any system you have, right? So containerizing not only email, but containerizing your data access as part of this user experience is important. I may not be able to virtualize access to email only, but if this device were lost, if the data in it were containerized, I could wipe the container remotely while leaving the personal aspects of this device untouched. Who's got kid photos in the phone? Who's backing up those kid photos? Right? So your boss called me tomorrow and said, hey, you know, you accessed something inappropriately on your phone, we've got to wipe that device. What are you going to say? Whoa, got a lot of photos on there. Can't touch this device, it's mine. So containerization allows you to get around that by keeping all the government data, that's email attachments, in a separate place compared to where all those kid photos are, where all your personal email may be, and leaving that untouched and managing a container on these mobile devices as opposed to the device itself. Make sense? And secure networking is really putting all these components together where everything you access, whether it's from this device, from a laptop, maybe it's from a home PC, is secured. So there's no man-in-the-middle attacks. The network actually is secure in terms of allowing things for encryption, enforcing two-factor authentication. If you're not doing two-factor authentication, you should, because that's a really critical thing these days. But effectively ensuring that as data is transmitted from the data center or from the cloud to your device, it's secure. Nothing's lost in between. Some best practices around these 3 specific items, sort of called out here specifically. So keeping data in the data center wherever possible, right? Especially the most critical data. If it's in the data center, at least you have a way to govern it and control it. If you allow it to be emailed as an attachment, if you allow it to be accessed in an Excel spreadsheet, if you allow it to be sent into an Office 365 environment, you're sort of losing a little bit of control over what your end user could do with that piece of data. Everyone's got that one Excel spreadsheet which they really don't want to lose, right? It's got that critical data, or that access database. Think about how many people touch that, where that could go in your current infrastructure. Could it land on a mobile device that you don't control? That mobile device is then lost, stolen, compromised, that device, that data could potentially be lost. So keeping data in the data center where it makes sense, creating that pixel area firewall, which we'll talk about, which I'll show you in a moment. And then containerizing data and mobile devices, right? So I have BYO scenarios, or even actually government mobile device scenarios where I can't control all the device, or I don't want to control the whole device. I have access to controlling the application and data separately. So MDM is becoming a commodity from my perspective, so I think that'll become less invasive when you look at containers. We talked about networks and how you have to assume they're untrusted, right? We assume that when we're using VPN, it's trusted. We assume that when we're sitting on a campus Wi-Fi, it's trusted. We have to assume that it's not, right? Assume that the worst would happen. So how are you going to enforce and ensure trust between that device and that resource you're accessing? So 3 key concepts. I probably won't have time to cover all of them, but to sort of bring that back to what we talked about in terms of context, when you take a look at sort of a native device like an iPhone or a tablet, there's a couple things going on, right? The applications and the data on that device aren't separated. One application can typically share data on that application. You don't have to ask it to do that. There's really not a whole lot you can do from a control perspective. Every capability on this device is based on sort of what Apple gives you, right? If Apple doesn't have a control for that, you're out of luck, right? You can't manage that piece of the puzzle. And if there is a problem, the whole device is blown away, right? You start from scratch, you lose everything. Not a great way to manage real enterprise in a sense. And then you have the other end of the spectrum, which is if this is no device management, and the other side is fully managed with MDM, you've got everything controlled, but it's the same problem with if there is a challenge with the device, data is lost, data is out of control, you're still wiping the device. You just have the ability to do it. And then when you take a look at the 2 concepts we just talked about, virtualized and containerized, in the virtualized instance, that application can be accessed now from the data center. The data is kept in the data center, so if that device is lost or stolen, or something else goes wrong with it, you don't even worry about wiping it because there's nothing left of the device. That device effectively becomes a really expensive thin client, right, that can be used to access that application in the data center. In the containerized world, we work with container, like we talked about. That sort of gives us sort of the same security there. So what does that look like in the real world? So I'll give you a quick example here. So let's pretend that I actually am a developer, but I'll come back today, but let's pretend that I was showing you guys a piece of code here that was very sensitive. Now, there's a laptop, right? You've got all these applications running here. With PowerPoint, you guys all know PowerPoint. How do I prevent a user from stealing this code, taking this code right here? Now, in a traditional environment, it's easy, right? Copy and paste. File save as, right? Done. Now I've lost that sensitive data. It could be social security numbers. It could have been driver's licenses. It could have been credit card numbers, right? For me, maybe it's something sensitive in the code. So how do I control this piece of data? How do I make sure that somebody is accessing it, that's presenting it, let's say, doesn't get access to it, to actually use it for some other purpose? So here, what you're looking at is PowerPoint, but this is actually a virtualized PowerPoint instance, meaning that PowerPoint is not running on this device here. This PowerPoint instance is running in a data center back in DC. So this data that you're looking at, this PowerPoint deck, is not on this device. It's sitting in the data center back in DC. Actually, when I started this PowerPoint instance, policies, that dynamic policy we talked about, detected that I'm not on campus, I'm not on a trusted device, right? This is a BYO device. And it layered back it actually layered up some of the defenses for data security around this application. Meaning that if I wanted to do something like hey, let's just copy this. If I want you to know about it, let's paste it in here. Hey, that's actually not pasting. This is actually pasting something else. So that clipboard in this local device is blocked from pasting anything that's happening in that virtual session. So clipboard protection is one of those contextual data access things we talked about. What's another way to get this document out the door? Well, I can just print it, right? I got a 5A document like an Excel spreadsheet. I can just go print everything that's attached. Hey, wait, there's no printers installed. So I have printers installed locally, actually. I can show you that printers installed locally. So I got plenty of printers installed locally. Some of them are, you know, usual stuff you guys use, PDF writers, some of the stuff back in our office. But none of these printers show up here because the printer mappings are blocked. They could show up if I was on the network, if I was in a place where I had configured that policy to allow that. But that's another sort of switch you can turn off and on based on where you're coming from. What about actually saving this? Right? So when I go to save as, I look at a computer here. This, what I'm looking at here is the file structure of the server in the data center. I actually don't see the file structure of this PC locally. So this document, this data, all this stuff here is not the same folder that it is locally. Right? I have a lot of stuff in my downloads here. This is not the same thing. So this is a virtualized PowerPoint instance that's running a potentially sensitive piece of data document that's in the data center, which now I can't print, can't save locally, I can't copy and paste out of. I can take a picture potentially, but you can't fix that. But I control the type of access you can provide to this document based on scenario. All those things that were turned off, you can turn each of those on individually based on where you're coming from, what type of authentication you use, what device you have, or what time of day it is. All those context pieces we talked about. So, I do have a container demo too on this, but I'm not going to kind of show it here. So you guys want to see it, come find me afterwards. So, getting back to this. So, some of the technology talked about containerization, virtualization, secure networking. Those are things that are a lot of use cases that we typically help a lot of agencies with, right? Especially with the challenge between mobility and security sort of butting heads and creating all these different things that are going on in terms of how do you contain that sensitive data, how do you govern it, how do you share files in between your agencies, how do you do BYO, how do you enable those flexible scenarios we talked about, and how do you enable business continuity so if your data center goes down, application goes down, that all can be controlled. So we help agencies with this kind of stuff every day. If you want to talk more about it, we got plenty of time afterwards. But as a takeaway of this session specifically, as I wrap up, I want you guys to remember a couple things. So first of all, technology is awesome, it's cool, but it's not silver bullet. It's not going to solve every security problem you have or will have. But the first defense you can all go do is educate your end users. Right? Tell them about how they are going to be sort of potentially compromised, train them on how to recognize enough malware, train them, help them understand what phishing is, right? All the stuff that you guys stay up at night about, help them understand that, make that part of their everyday, day-to-day way to handle and deal with technology. Not only at work, but also at home. Because if they got home computers affected, sooner or later, there's going to be a problem. Right? The unused or unsort of controlled devices, you've got to sort of start thinking about a policy for that. We have a lot of agencies that will do a pilot program just to say they're doing it. So if somebody wants access, they get dropped in a pilot program. That way you control, you find out who those people are instead of just them trying to figure out the way to the network to bring that device. Most times in that, they'll figure it out, right? Because you've got something open here or there. But that allowing them a way to enable some of those devices the right way, that's under your visibility, not necessarily your control, but if your visibility is a lot better than allowing them to sort of go at it through the back door. We talked about the different use cases, right, and how do you identify those with scenarios, the data access models, and then the user agreements is something that we've had a lot of agencies that are looking at, saying that there's a lot of, as you can imagine, legalese around BYO that actually having people sign up for user agreements to manage some of this data, right, to make sure they understand how to manage data, how to actually do it when we're using a mobile device or these other laptop devices, and what that means from a data management and governance perspective. There is a lot of resources from a security perspective on the topics we talked about online on our website. These links below, feel free to use them. They're all free, right? Nothing in there. As always, if you guys want to talk to us, we'd love to be part of that conversation as well. But a lot of good resources, a lot of challenges, but a lot of good things that I think will enable technology to be adopted the right way and change the way we think about data security in the future. So that's all I got. Any questions real quick? You guys are ready to go home. All right, thank you guys.